have 21 people who now.
Wonder if I can should be able to set this into auto admit mode, right?
Yeah.
I'll figure out how to do that later. So Yonks, it's your fault. You set up this Google Meet, and now I can't figure out how to turn off the admin.
Hey, I'm not going to take credit for that, sir. I will absolutely take credit for the Luma, but I'm fairly certain I just copied and pasted your Google
you know what?
I use Zoom myself.
Okay, now I know. I got to get a tutorial from Lou about how to set the Gmail. All right, 15 people, everybody. This is the Agentic Investing Subgroup, and is there anybody here who's not on the DIA Telegram? No. All right. So go to the DIA Telegram. What I would suggest is we're going to introduce ourselves here, but just put in a little blurb about yourself. Then I can scroll up and go, hey, I want to talk to that person about X. Don't put that information in this chat because it'll go away. So first thought. The call to action had this goal statement: helping members who are offering AI-flavored money management or using AI in personal strategies. So hopefully we can edit this to get something that this group is most interested in. We can maybe come back to this as a list of issues that I'm pretty interested in right now. What I've noticed is that these DIA subgroups are great as personal support networks. We're doing early stage stuff in a volatile industry, and it helps to share research and contacts and feedback. So let's talk about, is there anybody here who has other goals? We'll go through and sort of talk about personal goals, but there's some big things that we missed that we want to focus on in this group. Nope. Close. All right. Fantastic. I'm just trying to get stuff out of the way before we get to the good stuff of talking to each other. We need to schedule a time for the next call. Lou, you encouraged me to just pick a time. Since sort of by definition everybody was able to make this time, I'm suggesting that we do this every 2 weeks at this time. So look for something on June 19th. Is there anybody who thinks that's a good or a bad idea?
It's good for me.
All right. It's sort of self-defining, right? Because the people who couldn't make it aren't here to object, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to schedule another one as soon as we get off this call for 2 weeks from now. Let's do some introductions. So Lou, sure. What are you working on? How do you think you can help the members here, and what do you want to get out of this group?
Sure. So, you know, Crypto Mondays is working on a community management AI agent. And while that's not necessarily, you know, so related to this, you know, I think this is the hottest area right now in AI agents. So I'm just interested in learning more about it.
Great. I'm just going to go down the list and call people out because I have a list on the side here under people. So Alberto.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for hosting this, Andy. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm not really building anything at the moment. I'm looking for my next opportunity in business development. However, my previous, I guess, career was with wealth management, Merrill Lynch. So I have my Series 766. So I'm looking for just learning more about the new use cases and ways we can improve the financial infrastructure that's out there today.
And don't forget to mention that you're a co-organizer of Crypto Monday Vegas.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm helping Praveen in Crypto Monday Vegas out here. So I'm based in Vegas. If anybody's out here, anytime.
So you obviously you feel like this agentic investing is relevant for the, you know, career you've been on. How does that help other members? How can we? What's your thought, you know, about that?
Yeah, I think maybe bring some insights on what traditional advisors and TradFi probably are accustomed to, and try to bring those use cases, that thought, to the conversation.
All right, cool. So Alan.
Yep, Alan with Crypto Mondays and working in the operations for that side of it and attending a lot of these sessions, trying to make sure that everything's going okay on these things, get some consistency across them. I'm also working on a project or with a project that does investing, not so much on the crypto side, but just in stock. It's a project that using AI to do back testing and strategy development, and wondering what the opportunities are on the crypto side of things too. So I'm investigating, what's happening over here, how people are looking at it, what investment strategies people would be using on this side, or how they would use a tool like that.
What's the tool?
It's actually in alpha right now. We're just bringing it up. So it's a tool called Stratify, and we'll probably have the website up later this week, early next week, for early adopters to take a look at. But
All right, so we're early adopters. That's a
okay.
mutual support point.
Yeah, that'd be great. People take a look and get some feedback on that. That would be wonderful. I'm not deep into the investment community. I'm working on the back end and all of the indicators and all the other things, but we're trying to build something special here for this tool to be able to work for a certain type of investment.
All right, Angel.
Yes, hi. Well, we invest into crypto, and one of our projects, Private AI, is building basically trading bots with cross-chain swap capabilities, and therefore the whole AI agents theme is very relevant for our projects to research more to see how we can build, more promising interfaces for that. And so I'm happy to connect with any other people who are either building Solana trading bots or AI agents that will focus on DeFi or trading.
Great.
Hey,
I'd like.
Are you a part of the part of Daya?
Well, I've just joined the Telegram group a few minutes ago, but I've not attended any other meetings before.
Well,
I just saw Lou's post on LinkedIn a few minutes ago, and I decided to join.
yeah, sure. Which is totally fine. But just in case people don't know, this is a subgroup. There's a organization we started about 5 months ago called Decentralized AI Agent Alliance, and so this is a subgroup, of the alliance. Yeah, we're open. It doesn't cost any money to join, so you're welcome to join the subgroup meetings. But if you'd like to join the alliance, I will put my email in. Again, all that means is you'll get our newsletters and get up to date on everything that's going on, and come participate in whatever you want.
Oh, I'll be glad to. I mean, you didn't tell me about it last time we met, but I'll be happy to definitely join. Yeah.
Cool.
Great. All right, Ben-Hur, I just saw you on.
Yeah, I am working with Oxcart, which is focused on the governance side, and we will be leading the governance subgroup for Daya. So I guess part of the reason I'm here is to get a better sense of how this subgroup fits into the broader Daya ecosystem. And as far as AI agents, I have played with them a little bit on Solana, probably about 2 to 3 months ago, when they were starting to really pick up as a theme, like I guess across the crypto sector. I had some difficulties playing with them, a little bit clunky. I didn't really quite understand how to make use of them. So, like personally, I'm really curious on getting a better sense on how folks are utilizing them, both like on chain trading and just as a tool for assessing like investment opportunities broadly.
Cool. That's exactly what we're trying to figure out. And in terms of how you can help other members, is there something we can get for what we're doing out of the governance process?
I think we're still iterating on sort of a framework that might just support a broader Daya group, but I think maybe in the coming weeks, probably by the 19th, I might have something a little bit more concrete for you.
All right, great. Michael Gold.
Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Michael Gold. So My background's in research and entrepreneurship. I was with NYU at their VR AR research lab for 5 years after I sold my startup, and I spun out a bunch of projects related to AI and virtual reality, and then got into the blockchain space during the pandemic and did an avatar NFT company, and we worked with the likes of Yuga Labs. So my background is really on the visual side of AI. Recently, I've gotten into kind of, if you think about the full nature of an agent, there has to be a conversational piece to it. You know, think of any type of character, NPCs, what have you. So I've been building out for the last several years, like infrastructure around creating character-based concierges, while doing a lot of investment in the space. And I recently made for Crypto Mondays and for other event organizers an AI agent introduction system. So those of you who might have gone to Crypto Mondays in Dubai for Token 2049, there were 1,000 people who RSVP'd for the event, and through that we parsed through, people submitted their LinkedIn profile. So I wrote an agent and MCP server that looked at everybody's LinkedIn profile, parsed through it, structured the data, and then tried to find one really good match for everybody who submitted their LinkedIn profile, and then made an email introduction directly from Lou that introduced the people to one another. So like one-on-one email introduction. And this I should note, the business that I sold was an email communication tool, so I have some background in that space. But it worked out pretty well. We got a lot of positive feedback from it. So I kind of, like, in terms of how I can help, I want to roll that out to the broader Crypto Mondays community as an MCP server that people can run through Claude. And I'm working on making, as I said, digital concierges, like as AI agents and MCP. So if anybody else is interested in that space, happy to discuss. As far as agents who invest, I dabbled in that a bit back when just as Ben Hur said, like when the meta for that was really hot, I dabbled in it a bit. But I like to use the AIs to inform rather than and plan rather than act when it comes to my money. So I didn't bet big on it. I'm curious if any of you have, and if you've won with it. So that's I'm really looking forward to digging in and seeing how you guys are playing in the space today.
Great. Well, that was a good example of how you can help us, which is how to automate email outreach. Anybody could use that, and what you hope to get out of it in terms of learning, staying at the leading edge on this agent investing. All right,
yeah,
Mike.
For sure, happy to connect everybody.
I'm definitely going to hit you up on the email. Michael Nowotny.
Hey guys, I'm Michael Nowotny. I'm founder of Krypton Labs. It's a decentralized exchange that focuses on solving the hidden cost of trading. So think like in traditional finance, retail traders every single year in the United States are losing $34 billion in bad trade execution. Decentralized finance or decentralized exchanges, that problem is much higher. It's out of control. It's higher, relatively speaking, just because of the way that blockchains come to consensus. There's front running, there's monetization of short-lived information advantages, and that's why trading is so unbelievably expensive. And market makers or liquidity providers are still losing tons of money. And so unless that problem is solved, we cannot have a decentralized future where these beautiful decentralized cryptocurrencies are actually traded in a trustless way. Every time we want to trade, we need to send them back into some opaque centralized system like Binance or Coinbase and hope that things are not taken away from us. And so I believe if you want to have automated asset management, if you want to have some agentic future where the agent actually acts and invests on our behalf and does that in a somewhat cryptographically verified manner, then the problem of high cost needs to be solved. And that's the problem that Krypton is addressing. I'm interested in looking into AI agents, which is, I've been basically living under a rock over the last few years, and then ran into Lou at David Copperfield's house, it seems, one of his mansions in Las Vegas. And so this is kind of, I think, just a new wonderful opportunity, but I'm just at the beginning of my journey. So I'm very, very happy to be here and meet you. And I think over the next few weeks and months, we'll see kind of what cool things emerge. So I'm interested in interesting ideas. I just need to find something that's of that kind of jives. Yeah. So
hopefully that's a great way that we can work together, is sort of catching up and staying abreast of everything that's happening in agentic investing. Is there a way we can use your product in this process?
Yeah, unfortunately. So we are in a difficult spot right now. So the product is not yet on mainnet. We probably have to pivot / shut down or do something. So there will be, so it's questionable whether this will come out the same way. I might simplify it or do other things, but at the moment, so if that is to continue, then I need a new narrative to find community. So one thing I didn't do is to build distribution with this, to build marketing, to build community. And so Lou is fantastic at building community, of course. So it depends. It will come out in some way. Something will come out in some way, but I'm happy to, if you want, I'm happy to give you, and we'll let you take a look. The idea comes out of academia, actually. So I used to be an academic, created by Pete Kyle, the father of modern market microstructure, who was a professor at the University of Maryland and one of his PhD students. And I found a way to implement it on blockchains. But it's technically very complicated. So now there may be easier ways of doing it. So the future is a little bit uncertain, but I'll figure it out. So no worries.
Well, as I get into this agentic investing, I'm dealing with AMMs, which are smart contract things, SDKs for order book systems, and also MEV. So it's pretty interesting to me, all of those issues.
Actually, I wrote an article a few months ago about how all these other existing decentralized exchange approaches, in my opinion, give rise to toxicity and why something like Krypton solves it. Krypton may not be the only solution, it's a solution. And so I think if you're interested, if you're curious in that, but then there's probably the question, are we using agents maybe to research and to aggregate information? Or are we using agents to actually act on the information? So if you remember, like 10, 15 years ago, there was this field of robo-advisors that never really took off massively. But the main difference between that and the AI we have of today is that it was rather in the vein of classical physics or classical science, in that we knew the structure and we explicitly programmed algorithms, and we could, test them and predict them and so on and so forth. Whereas with AI agents, there's always this leeway. So there's always the possibility that it'll go off the rails, it'll hallucinate. And so I think we need these guardrails. So
cool.
It kind of not go out of control, right? So this is why blockchain is important, I think, and cryptographic verifiability. So.
All right. So Mike Schoenecker.
Yeah. Hi, how are you guys doing? I've teamed up with Jason and Tyler at WeOwn, and I've known Jason for quite a while. My background is in network architecture. I was a network architect when I met Jason, and I've done a few big networks, and then I got into doing the sales side of slinging gear as a sales engineer. Then I ran into Jason again, and he drugged me back into the abyss of tech at a deeper level. I've mostly been an architect, but I have a computer science background, so I understand a lot of it. But I'm learning a lot more about decentralized ecosystem and blockchain, which I was very interested in doing. I also, on the side, every once in a while, I'll trade a little bit of Forex. So I'm interested in how AI could actually affect this whole industry, trading industry as a whole. I think, there's as Michael was mentioning, you know, there's caveats in decentralization, and there's things that we need to keep an eye on, and also governments is a huge thing that I'm want to keep an eye out on. But out of this, I'm just trying to you know, better understand. We also we're building AI agents. Want to see what the vertical demands are, so we can develop AI agents appropriately and solve real world problems with that. So it's good to be here. I'm excited to get things rolling.
All right, thanks. Robin.
How's it, Andy? Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm here just because I'm one of your fans, and so I'm supporting you and listening in. We came out of the agentic commerce, agentic payments side of things, and with Crypto Mondays with Ellen and Lou. So, you know, we're busy with figuring out this Agent Monday thing. So I'm just here to learn a bit more, listen in, but this is not my vertical. Agentic payments is my main interest. So, yeah, thanks for having me here.
And Robin, you know that I think agentic payments and agentic investing are very, very closely related, because they both involve the question of how do you give agents access to your money in your wallet, right? How do you delegate either the spending or the investing?
Yeah.
So,
got it.
and as I go and roll out my agentic investing stuff, I'm constantly talking to people who do payments and bridges and stuff.
Excellent. Good. Thanks, Andy.
All right, Tyler, we heard you mentioned by Mike.
Yeah, hi, nice to meet all you guys. My background is also financial. I was a financial wholesaler, which Maryland's was actually one of my clients, Alberto. So I was super excited to connect with you and Angel, Michael, and all of you. I'm really excited about this. So I was with Oppenheimer Funds, which is now Invesco, for a long time, and then I was brokering private equity. Got into crypto and AI more recently, but crypto about 4 or 5 years ago, and have been building tokenized projects. And I'm also a realtor, so our particular interest has been the intersection of AI and real estate, and helping realtors use those tools to automate a lot of their pain points. We're right now building an AI real estate peer cohort, that we're going to be helping real estate professionals build their own AI agencies. Pretty excited about. We're also starting some tokenized REITs to work on that part of the market. I think there's a lot of inefficiencies, and provide liquidity in a way that's actually useful. I think a lot of times people just want to tokenize things and use AI because it's there, and they don't actually think through the functional applications of how is this making people's lives easier and better and more profitable and whatnot. So excited about that. We're also building a DeFi IRA product that we're going to allow people to own their own AI trading bots. So I can't remember who mentioned they were building that, but I'd love to connect with you on that. That's definitely a partnership that could work. So that's what we're doing. And yeah, I'm excited to meet you all. Thanks.
Great. So that's an example of support might be, I actually did a lot of work on tokenized REITs, and I've looked at dozens and dozens of them, 0 of which sold, and sort of analyzed, like, why aren't they as good as real REITs, and why aren't people buying them? So that might be useful research for you, because I do think it will eventually work.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. I'd love to connect with you on that.
And then Jason.
Well, does that make me last but not least, Andy?
No, because Greg Smith joined, and he's going to be last.
Fabulous. No, well, first of all, thank you, Andy, for hosting the conversation, and just the sheer turnout here for the introduction just amplifies, I think, everybody's excitement around agentic investing. And one of the things that I like to say is that most of us are chasing the proverbial money printer, and the huge value proposition out of agentic investing. Most people, especially surrounding money, we can be very emotional around that, and agents don't have any emotions unless we program them to have emotions. So that's huge. And just to amplify what Tyler was talking about, the opportunity for individual retirement arrangements is so huge. Like 1 in 3 Americans have an IRA here in the United States with $17 trillion. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about being a differentiator, because it's not at all easy to become a custodian where you can navigate those hoops and become the custodian with the IRA, so that you can have that opportunity to really bring alternative assets. And still, crypto is alternative assets. We talked about real estate very briefly. Real estate is unquestionably the kingpin of the alternative asset class and space, and really looking forward to seeing what we all build together here, and just more importantly, having the conversations, because there's a lot of noise out there, and that's one of the things I really love about the DIA conversations, is a mechanism to substantially reduce the noise at a rapid clip with other thought leaders such as yourself. So thanks again, Andy, for hosting this.
Cool. So you heard Michael talk about robo-advisors, right? How it's sort of a feature, not a product. How do you think that was the last shot at RIAs? How do you think this is going to be different? Not to put you on the spot. Anyway, maybe we could talk about that. You know, what's new in relative for RIA. It's a really interesting conversation. All right, I'm going to go. I'm Andy. I do software startups, more or less successfully, often less successfully. I'm going to take advantage of my little slideshow to get some feedback from you on something we're working on. Let's see. Yeah. All right, it's a long story, but I promise it will get an interesting call to action at the end. So overall, I'm working on something called Vibe Station, and the basic problem is some of you guys brought up MCP tools. These are APIs that you plug into AI clients and agents, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And so, for instance, if you're going to plug crypto and DeFi into AI agent, you would end up with a couple thousand different smart contract functions, and AIs get confused at about 10. So that's kind of the underlying problem, is to bridge that gap. We started with this thing called Swava, Smart Wallet Vaults. So it's an upgrade to smart contract vaults, which run on a single chain. What we're doing is we're applying the rules that govern a smart contract vault and protect custody. You can only take money out if you put money in, and also mandate you can only invest in a limited number of things. We're actually applying those to the wallet, which can sign on many blockchains, EVM, Solana, Bitcoin, instead of the smart contract. And one of the side effects from that is that you can easily control this wallet with an AI trader. So it's a way to go from these like ELIZA style agent managed funds where there's really no protection on custody and mandate, to something that's state of the art on custody and mandate, and really bridges the gap between a smart contract vault, pretty big asset class. Actually, there's about $3 billion earning fees for allocators in smart contract vaults, and real hedge funds, which is actually a much bigger asset class. To do that, we're building this Vibe trader that can be the universal UI for a Swava or any other strategy. It'll, if you've used these MCP enabled AIs, what you'll notice is you can ask them for views. So instead of using a web UI, you could say, make me a dashboard, and it'll write the HTML and pop you up a dashboard. And then ideally, instead of going and clicking through to make a transaction, you can say, make me a swap, or make me a bridge and swap, or bridge and swap and stake, and it'll just compose that sequence of actions, and you'll sign it, or your bot will sign it. But to do that, we actually need to package all of DeFi into MCP tools. So this is the call to action. That next week, we're going to be going out to basically every protocol on chain and asking them to describe their protocol for AI. Take their smart contracts and annotate them. They'll be able to go into a playground, see the results. But basically what we do with that is we'll take all of these smart contract tools, we'll feed them to the AI through a community MCP server that'll run in the cloud, and it'll connect to all the different kinds of AI agents and clients. And there's a bunch of reasons you might want to do that. The underlying theme here is that we're getting rid of the web UI, which is actually not very reliable. It takes a long time to build and learn. We're just replacing with this single AI UI that you chat and talk to. So we quickly vibe coded up some of these components, the data entry, where you describe your protocol, the playground, the AI chat. There's actually this sign transaction button is a new kind of artifact that we're introducing the AI world where AI can spit out a blockchain transaction and then you can program your client to sign it. So that's my work, and obviously a lot of that can benefit from feedback here. Okay, so from here we're going to go to the Telegram, put our blurbs in, right, and talk with each other individually or as a group.
Wait a minute. I got a quick question. I think I was trying to follow what you were doing, but you're actually creating an interface for smart contracts directly to be able to have agents interact with them. Are you putting an MCP interface there?
Yeah, so when humans interact with smart contracts, they usually use a web user interface.
Yeah.
And there's thousands of these web user interfaces. When an AI interacts with a smart contract, it's going to interact by calling the smart contract function. It's not going to go through the web user interface. I call this the AI Explorer project because when humans interact with smart contracts, they'll typically go to a block explorer. So you'll go to a block explorer, you'll find the smart contract, and you can click on read and write in the block explorer, and you can actually use that as a UI to do smart contract interactions.
Right. Well, there are already APIs existing to be able to get to that. I'm just wondering what you're doing to be able to interpret the smart contract for the agent itself that's trying to consume it. You doing anything?
We can just scorp these descriptions up from the verified code in the block explorers, but that's not what we're trying to do because I think we need more engagement from the industry. So what we're going to be doing is going to, any protocol that offers DeFi and saying, look, here's an easy way for you to describe your smart contract functions to the AI. Fill out this form, we'll match it up with the block explorer, and then you can chat with your protocol. It goes directly to AI in 10 minutes.
Okay, I think I get it.
But the goal is, right, since really the benefit is you replace all those web apps with one AI UI that gives you better advice, faster access, integrated bridging, all that stuff. That the goal is best accomplished if we can get a lot of people to describe their protocols for AI, if it's pretty comprehensive. So it's really a community resource. It's not really my thing.
Okay.
The same way that like a block explorer would be a community resource. And it runs the same way. In the cloud, it's permissionless.
Okay, got it. You've got a link to that to put in the chat?
Well, I haven't released the bits and pieces, the data entry where you describe and the playground where you chat with your protocol, but you can go to vibestation.ai and see the other things we're doing.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Throwing it open out here, what you guys want feedback on? You saw me sort of grab and say, hey, I want feedback on my thing. Let's throw it out there. Lou?
Yeah.
How can we contribute to Agent Monday?
To Agent Monday? Right now we are, I'm trying to think about, from the investing side, it's a super interesting question, actually. When we think about Agent Monday, we think what we're trying to do is optimize people's experience with Crypto Mondays, the meetup. So why do people come to Crypto Mondays meetups? To learn, earn, and connect. And so, this could certainly be AI agents, I think, could certainly be a part of that, the earn component.
Yeah. So have you brainstormed on what earn means? Is it really sort of the outgrowth of learning?
Well, I mean, it's obvious, it's very broad. We think that, what Crypto Mondays is really, where we're differentiated, because obviously there are going to be lots and lots of AI agents, and you're going to need some kind of competitive advantage to compete. We really believe our competitive advantage lies more in the connect than in the learn or the earn, but we think that we can still, bring a lot of value and more kind of help educate people on how to earn than actually, have us have products that are going to be on the bleeding edge of earning.
So one of the things you've done, I know with Delhi, is you've configured advisors, that have a certain knowledge base, part of your learn thing. Could we import those advisors as modes for something like Vibe Trader?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Alan or Robin, do you know what he's referring to?
Maybe I lost the thread on the Agent Monday 2 or 3 months ago. Was you pick your Bitcoin advisor, right? You pick your kind of knowledge base and chat with it.
So Crypto Mondays has a deep knowledge base, and so we're working with another one of the DIA members, KBuy, as its knowledge base for AI, and we're basically putting all of the information from that we have from whether it's blog posts or videos, and now also KBuy has a bot for our Telegram channels, right? So we're taking all that information on the Telegram channels and importing that in. And so that's, we're developing a kind of unique database around learning, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's my guess that, that will be helpful when complemented with other things, but in and of itself, I'm not sure that we're kind of in a position to bring the best learning, AI, crypto AI agent in the marketplace. We can certainly help, and I think point people to, the most successful, powerful places to go and learn.
And you were focusing on Connect,
with our unique database.
So you're focusing on Connect. That's what you're doing here, right? But are there specific things you want to connect people to connect to?
Well, like as Michael talked about, the very first Connect that we brought to the marketplace was when we had 2,200 RSVPs for Crypto Mondays Dubai, and we asked everybody for their LinkedIn, and then given the LinkedIn, we emailed them and say, hey, do you want to meet the person that our AI says is the best person for you to meet with, as just kind of let's just throw that in the marketplace and see how it goes.
How did it go,
Michael?
Yeah, we got a lot of great feedback from people. People said, "Oh, thanks." Like what we did was every email came directly from Lou. So it was from Lou's main email address, and he introduced himself, and then introduced as a regular CC, as one would do on an email. Hey, person A, I want you to meet person B. I've CC'd you both on here. Here are some reasons I thought that our AI thought you might like to meet each other just based on looking at your LinkedIn profiles. And I've CC'd Mike Gold on the email too. So we got, we gave ourselves the ability to get reply all back so we can get direct feedback from people. And we got some great replies like, oh, thanks so much for the introduction. I'll follow up with so-and-so later. Here's my cal.com. All the things that you might expect. And I personally got 0 negative emails back. If you have a big mailing list, no matter what you do, no matter how much you hook people up with your messages, you tend to get an F off email every once in a while. So I didn't get any F offs from the blast. Lou, did you get anybody telling you to F off after blasting out, or was it all positive?
Well, it's hard to separate the F offs for this from all the other ones, but I don't think so.
Yeah. So I wasn't a party to any of it was generally like positive feedback, and we didn't, like, so I think it fell into, like, as they say in the ad agency world, like the surprise and delight category, like that people were surprised to get the email, but also, like, kind of happy, and maybe it was something that stood out in the sea of, like, the 300 events, no exaggeration, that people might sign up for at Token 2049, just like any other crypto conference. Like, it might have cut through the noise a little bit, which I think it pays to do that when you're connecting people and following up from an event, is to stand out.
Well, certainly that's a really good measure, is like how many people unsubscribe, basically. Really good measure of quality. And that sounds super successful. What interested me is the reference to using MCP as your, API format, because as you can see, I'm making a big bet that that's, when you talk about agents doing stuff, it's going to be with MCP, and that there's a lot more work to do there.
Yeah.
So I don't know
so,
how that links with the, kind of agentic investing stuff, but certainly technically it fits.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. But what really, one of the big reasons why I used MCP with this in general is that we had to run things locally on the user's computer. To parse through LinkedIn, you have to pop open a browser window and kind of, like, pull things out from the page. So that's a good use case for running a local program on somebody's computer that the AI can talk to, and interact with. So that was one of the big reasons for using MCP. And then the other thing is, like, that I was thinking about is, if like, I ran this all on my computer, right? So if Lou was to run this from his MacBook, I think MCP is a decent way to get software installed that Claude or another LLM can interact with. Because it's kind of, it's a little tricky to get things installed, but it's not so bad. If you can install Python or Node, you can get an MCP server running that the AI can talk to.
So right. I mean, I'm just going to confirm that that's why I really like MCP. It's not actually the same as SaaS APIs. It looks the
Yeah.
same, but it's not, because, for instance, we're going to be running our, community Block Explorer, AI Explorer, just out in the cloud. Lou or anybody can connect to it in 2 seconds, and actually will automatically connect to things like Claude and OpenAI ChatGPT, now that they have that in their data centers. But you can also connect it to local data. That's really pretty different. And it's great for professional investing, because anybody who's running these agentic investing workflows professionally, they're going to have their own data.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So like, the data never needs to leave your own computer, right? Because you're running your little database system on your own machine or within your own network that your AI can talk to. So it's kind of like, if you trust Claude, or if you're running Llama or something that's totally local in air gap, you can have it talk to a server that's running on your own computer with your own data, and you never need to, leave the trusted content. And I think that's really neat. I think it's a kind of a concept that works within Web 2 decentralization, works within Web 3 decentralization, and of course, Anthropic is not positioning this as a Web 3 technology, but it really is something that helps to decentralize the AI in terms of data and data privacy. So I like it. And I was also, like, chatting with Lou on a call earlier today. I think Anthropic has seeded a lot of marketing buzz around this, so it's an interesting wave to ride on as a startup. and it's a pretty low lift to get these systems built and start experimenting with them.
Yeah, so that's how this becomes decentralized. Well, we're making sort of a centralized system that your AI can use to do any DeFi, but you're going to blend it, very easy to blend it with your own locally installed tools and have your AI be working both sides. And that is a kind of centralization.
Right. Yeah. It's a it's what some chains call like sufficiently decentralized or federated, and like a lot of the chains, if you look at like ICP, they have trusted hyperscalers that run the network, that are run on actual data centers, and then they decentralize other pieces. So I think that we already, like, a lot of what we consider to be decentralized is not totally decentralized in a pure manner where everybody's running the nodes, right? So I think it works.
So is there anybody here who is thinking about scaling up to manage money professionally? And I've talked a little bit about that being my interest, is sort of how do we make this agentic investment safe at that level?
We're planning, Andy, sometime in 2026 to facilitate a We Own AI agency cohort for financial professionals. And this just amplifies our commitment to a people first approach instead of a technology first approach. And there's a wide range of designations around financial planners, but I think most of us can agree that there's going to be professionals that use AI, and those that don't will get displaced by those that use AI.
So, I mean, I did ask a question about RIAs. They have a very restricted range of action in terms of how they're supposed to analyze a portfolio and recommend in custody. What do you think the first step is for them in using these AI tools, or even using crypto?
Can I jump in here? I actually worked with dozens of the top RIAs in the country in a traditional sense, and so I'd say three things. Number one, from a client suitability standpoint, if their clients have agreed to let them use AI in part or in full to oversee the portfolio, then, because most to all of them are discretionary, they just informing the clients that that's what they're doing. And two, being very aware of what the trading bot's parameters are. So one of the things that I've realized is so many RIAs that I've met and dealt with tend to play to not lose much more than they play to win. So if you program an AI bot to take every risk and swing as hard as you can all the time, that's really different than somebody who's really more interested in wealth preservation than wealth generation. The other thing is trying to show the parameters of saying we've got a bot that's really focused on income, we've got a bot that's really focused on balance and whatever, or we know that you're in California and the taxes are really high, or if you're in Texas and the taxes are zero, you're going to manage your portfolio differently. So I mean, knowing and being aware of all those parameters inside the bot, being able to share that with your client, I think will really help you as an RIA create value, make you a lot more interested and continue to engage with the bot.
Basically, they do have a lot of range to try this stuff out on both low risk and high risk, as long as they've talked about it with the client. That's what
They
you're
do.
saying.
Yeah, the thing about RIAs is that you have to do so much suitability on the front end because in general, you're not asking your client about every trade on the back end, which makes it pretty ideal for a bot versus a traditional broker where you really need to ask your client every time you want to make a trade in their account and get their consent to it, which you might be able to get it immediately, or they might get back to you in a day or two. And by that point,
Okay, so then you just hit on an area that I think is completely unexplored, which is that suitability profile.
Mm-hmm.
How does AI get that and use that?
The RIA would just give it to them through an intake. I mean, so every RIA has some sort of detailed intake form that says exactly what's in play and what's not. What are their preferences? I mean, it's a pretty detailed form, and it's
No, I understand how it works.
so,
I'm saying
yeah, so
that there's a lot of mechanics involved in figuring out how do we present that to the AI, where do we apply the controls. That's a really interesting question to me.
where I would start with is the first thing is, are you dealing with taxable money or not? Because that creates a whole different set of parameters where if you have a trading bot that's generating great returns, but they're also generating a huge pile of taxes, the next question would be how many fees are involved with the platform. RIAs in general don't charge a per transaction fee, but unless they're using it in a way that the platform is also not charging any fees.
Right. I don't know that we need to answer each of these individual questions. I'm asking more of a high level question, like how does that mechanically, right? How we're gonna have a bunch of things we have to think about and a bunch of constraints from this intake. That's incredibly valuable, right, in the agentic investing world. If we can figure out, well, what's the AI going to do with it, and how are we going to apply the constraints? That might be a whole like research area for us.
If you want to connect with me sometime offline, I'd love to give you probably the top 10 to 20 things that an RIA is going to probably ask, and then you can
Right.
do with
I don't
whatever
need
you
that
want.
because I've been through that. Right. What I need to figure out is how do we use that. Just it's the next step in the question, right? But what's great about it is it's very standard. The concerns that an RIA is supposed to ask a client about. And what's unexplored is, okay, that's a fantastic resource, right? We know what it's going to be. How do we use it? I feel like that could be a whole subgroup.
It could, and one thing I would encourage you to look at is how to program the bot to think through some of the emotional reactions that clients are going to fire you over. So a bot might say, hey, this investment went down 40%. It's a great time to buy. A client's going to say, you're out of your damn mind. Why did you buy me that? It's too risky now. Get rid of it. So just balancing that within the portfolio, if you can get just something to think about too.
Or maybe that's something that the human does, right? What's the division of labor?
Yeah, it's a great point.
I see there's someone on here called I Am Lotus who didn't introduce. I don't know if that's a person or a machine.
Oh, yeah. I Am Lotus is a co-founder of ours with Youngson, Mike, and me. Can you introduce yourself, Lotus? Lotus, can you introduce yourself real fast?
Might be on mute. Lotus, you might be on mute.
I'm not sure if you can talk right now.
Yeah, the little.
Can
symbol.
can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Okay, I'm intently listening. This is the first time I've been in your group, so I'm trying to get a feel of the room. Don't want to ask questions that are not relevant, but I'm a serial entrepreneur, IRL. I've been in projects like telecommunication, real estate, sustainability, like solar, and in Web3, of course, we've done so many iterations on the group I'm in with Tyler, Jason, and Mike, and we're continue to discover different paths wherein we can apply what we already know and use different tools that are here, especially AI. Like I've always said, tools are being built every day. But that being said, I'm in other Web3 projects, and I'm just intently listening what you are building and see if that can also apply in the other projects I'm in. So I'm just learning what you all are doing. Always a student. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. I think everybody got a chance to introduce. Hope you'll also post the blurb on Telegram. Any last comments?
I tried. It said I am not included in the invite.
Lotus, we'll get you going on here when we're done with this.
So Andy, one of the things we're trying to set as a standard for the subgroups is to have invites out for the next 3 subgroups. So if you've got the set on the, the time, the dates and times, if you can send those out, that'd be great.
Okay, we're gonna every 2 weeks in this slot. we're set. And hopefully we'll make, by the end of that 3 session, we'll have made some friends and some successful launches.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Be well. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks. Ciao.